Hi and good afternoon, and welcome to Thfc Till I Die, to the Cockeral Clock podcast with myself, Dermot, aka Dermatron, and with me, my usual co-host, the man who really is the new foreign affairs for the Irish government, is Mr. Philip Brady, aka the Irish Godfather, aka the Irish Tom Jones. Philip, how are you?
God, hardly know what name to answer to now. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm still sitting here very frustrated after watching that Liverpool-Everton game. Not so much at the game, it was the refereeing and the officiating and VAR again. But anyway, we'll cover that in a minute.
I haven't seen it, Philip, but I will take your judgment on that. It was another. Did Liverpool win in the end?
2-0. Yeah, and they're now top of the league on goals scored.
Oh, they won't be on Monday night.
No, I know that. They play the game more than us anyway, you know. So.
Yeah.
Everton, I felt sorry for Everton. Very sorry for Everton now today.
Big up to Carl Simpson.
Hey,
it says afternoon, gents. Afternoon,
Carl was watching the match, so he knows what I'm saying about. I could see it in the comments. He was watching it.
Yeah. So look, Philip, we do want to start with. We don't normally start this podcast on news, but I think what's been happening over the last couple of weeks, especially what we've been seeing on our television screens over the last week and a half, I think we should start there. Now, the first bit I want to take second, if that's all right, Philip. The first thing I want to do is what's happening in the United States.
Yeah.
With now, Joe Biden did a speech the other night saying that he wanted 100 billion for aid for Ukraine and Israel, and then so much billions for home security.
I think the 100 million covers everything. I think
it covers everything.
You know,
But Philip, they cannot get it through the House because there's no speaker.
No.
Now, who is to blame? Is it now? People that don't know American politics, it's not like over here where you've got Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil, Labour, and Sinn Féin, and there's three parties into one government, and Sinn Féin and Labour are the opposition, and people for profit. Or it's not like the UK where it's Conservatives, Labour, Liberal Democrats, and
anyone else.
Philip, can you just take over? There's too much noise here.
I was just going to give a breakdown of what's been happening in America. Like for those, as Dermot said there, the American party system is split. They've got the Senate and they've got the House of Representatives. Now the Senate has got 50 members, one from each state, and that's at the moment that's controlled by the Democrats. The House of Representatives has almost over 400 and something, I forget the exact number of seats, and it's made up of representatives from every state in the union. Now, back last November, there was a midterm election held. Now, the midterm elections normally go badly against the party of the present president, which meant the Republicans were meant to get a huge majority in the House. They didn't. They only got 4 seats, or maybe 5 seats of a majority, and which left them very exposed, right? Now, they elected a speaker last January on the 15th count, a guy called Kevin McCarthy. Now, Kevin McCarthy, I could nearly describe him as a man without a spine. He gave in to all the extreme right-wing demands to get him elected. In other words, they were the speaker, not him. He did what they told him to do. And he didn't last 6 months. He was gone there he was voted out 3 weeks ago by one of the extreme right guys, a guy called Matt Gaetz, brought a motion to expel the speaker for not literally doing what he told he'd do 6 months ago. So that brought us to the situation they had to elect a new one. Now, as the Republicans hold the House, they were the ones that put forward a guy called Steve Scalise as Speaker. Now, Steve Scalise has been reported to be a member or a former member of the Ku Klux Klan. So I needn't go many more on what type of politics he has, right? Now, a lot of the Republicans decided they didn't want Steve Scalise as Speaker. So they started putting out things about his health, and he wasn't well, and he had cancer, and this, that, and the other. So eventually, Scalise pulled out. He said, I'm gone. Then they brought forward a gentleman called Jim Jordan. Now, Jim Jordan's name is spelled J-I-M, but to the students of Ohio State University, it's spelled G-Y-M. He was a wrestling coach in that state and allegedly covered up a sex abuse scandal up there by saying he knew nothing about it, or in fact he did know lots about it. Anyway, he decided he was going to come up as a speaker. Now, Jim Jordan is 16 years in Congress. In that 16 years, he has never produced one bill to be put forward for legislation. He's done absolutely nothing but obstruct, bully, and generally become a Donald Trump associate. Whatever Donald Trump tells him to do, he does. Right. Anyway, he went to cut this very short. He went up for a first vote. He needed 217 votes to get in. He got 200. The Democrat leader, Hakeem Jeffries, got 212. He was nearer to being speaker than Jordan was. Next vote, tried again. He was down to 198. Right? Still way short. This time, third vote yesterday, he was down to 195. It then transpired that his fans and his buddies were ringing around the wives and relatives of Republicans that voted against him, threatening them with all sorts of things, right? So anyway, the heel of the hunt is yesterday evening, the Republican Party said, "I had enough of this." They had a secret ballot and decided to remove Jim Jordan from the speaker's ticket altogether.
Oh, Jesus.
And at that stage, 85 Republicans voted against him. They were scared to do it on a public vote, but they all did it, or nearly all did it, on a private vote. So we are still no further on with the speaker. It's an absolute joke. Joe Biden cannot get any of his policies through until this thing is resolved. The Republicans are in total disarray. And really, you can track it all back to one man, Donald Trump.
I knew this was coming. I knew this.
No, I'm being quite fair about that. That's exactly as it happened.
Yeah.
But Trump is to blame. By following the Trump MAGA Republican thing now, the Republicans are going to get absolutely hammered in the elections next year because people just can't trust them anymore. Anyway, that's it.
I knew it was coming. I just sat back and let him go. I have to let him off the leash.
No, I mean, okay, you can probably tell from me, I'm not a fan of Donald Trump, but I'm a fan of democracy.
No
and democracy is in absolute. If Donald Trump gets reelected, which I don't think it'll ever happen,
are you emigrating?
America. Because if you had a manager, if you had, say, the likes of Jim Jordan, the Speaker of the House, and Donald Trump as president, there would never be another election in America. He'd be president for life. They'd change the Constitution. So that's how close democracy is to falling in America.
Yeah. Big up to everyone. Big up to everyone who's coming in. Big up to Dave as well.
Back to the football.
Back to the football. Big up to the Irish Hotspur as well. Big up, Mr. Dave Harris. Hope you're doing well. And here we go, Philip. We haven't had this for a while.
Oh no, I did it last night.
Well, give it another boost. You got to give it from the gut.
All right. Wayne, why do you keep doing this to me? Good afternoon, gents. Hope you're all well.
Yeah. There we go, Wayne. How was that? I hope that was better. And Carl says, I feel Philip should be a political correspondent of international politics. Well, it is continuing this sort of strength. We're letting Philip further off the leash. This is the day that YouTube banned our channel, for being God knows what. But here we go. I don't know why I'm doing this, but this seemed like a good idea when we talked about it at the time, but it may not be.
You can't make an omelette without breaking a few eggs, don't you know?
Breaking an egg. I think we've just broke a whole packet of eggs. What we're going to talk about next.
I'll tell you, there was nothing said there that hasn't been said 100 times over on YouTube.
My view on it quickly, Philip, right, is look. Joe Biden, for me, the last election was the most rigged election in U.S. history, right?
Bullshit. Absolute bullshit, Dermot. Right. You know it. It wasn't rigged at all. Rigged.
You haven't heard what I'm saying.
Don't come out with statements like that and say it's rigged. It wasn't rigged. It's been 61 court cases were taken trying to prove it was rigged. Every one of them failed.
Let me have my say, okay?
If you're going to say it's rigged, I'm not going to let you. Go on.
Let me have my say.
Go on.
Right. Joe Biden should not be president, A, because he's too old. And I've been called
Donald Trump is 3 years younger than he should.
There should be a limit of 60-year-old. That's your limit for being president. That last election was somehow, I wouldn't say rigged, but it was it wasn't done properly. You get an election over here, Philip, you know it's done right because everyone has to right. Now,
I've been following. No, I won't. No, I'm pulling you up on this. I've been following that election. I followed it to the nth degree, right? And if there was any form of corruption, okay, there's always going to be 3 or 4 hooky votes here, there, and everywhere, right? It was actually come out as probably the most cleanest election in American history because it was so well investigated.
Right. You haven't
to say it was rigged,
finish,
come
actually.
on.
You haven't let me finish. You put words in my mouth.
When I hear the word rigged, there's no need to let you finish.
Yeah. over here, it's done by a paper vote, right? You mark on a piece of paper who you want to vote for, right? In America, it
be very careful what you say here now, because I know when you're coming out and it's
hang on, it's done by computers, right? Do you think elections should be kept to paper or go over to electronic voting?
But Dermot, a lot of the voting in America is done by computer. A lot of it is actually done by you send in your paper ballot. So a lot of it's paper ballots as well, not all computer. And those computers, the companies that were accused of fixing the election, those machines were examined to the nth degree and found there's nothing wrong with them. So, you know, it's all a Republican, a Donald Trump driven plot to keep this thing going, that no election in America is ever going to be fair again. Yeah. Because he said so, which is not the truth, you know.
Pardon me. Big up Peter M. Good afternoon, Philip Dermot and everyone in the chat. Big up Peter M. Wayne Bonner. Nobody does it, Philip. That's why he's the godfather. We've got Boris Britt. Damn, going from Spurs rugby to this now. Oh, damn, going from Spurs and rugby to this. Now, this is interesting.
We'll get back onto the sport soon. We just felt we had to discuss this,
on this channel, don't we, Philip? We do.
Cookery recipes coming next, you know.
No, that's not coming next. We're not going that far down the pecking order. I swear Joe Biden is 110 years old, who has come out of cryotherapy.
Yes, and Jeremy, you're right in one thing you say. Nobody at that age should be president, right? But if you look at what he's done recently, he's not doing a bad job. He's not doing a bad job. Anyway, I'll just carry on with these comments here. Boris Britt saying, Carl Simpson, now he just drains the blood from people with his vampiric teeth to keep him younger than he is. Yeah. Carl is laughing back at that. And Carl saying, Dermot is confirming he's the head of the Donald Trump fan club. I hope not. And Peter M. Careful, Dermot, the machine makers have sued for libel over claims of victims. They have. They've actually
yeah, they have.
Judgment against Fox News.
Can I just make the point, Philip? What the point I was trying to make was, is it easier if you wanted, say, to rig an election, right? Is it easier to do it with the paper form or the electronic form if you wanted to? That's the point I was trying to make. I wasn't saying that the election was rigged. But look, there's an argument on both sides. But if you wanted to, and you've seen it in many elections around the world, in African countries, in other countries as well, Russia as well. We think.
I think the electronic version is actually safer.
Yeah,
because you can easily forge a vote on a paper ballot. But I think you've got to go through so many identity checks to actually get as far as the machine to make your vote. So, and as long as the voting companies are not got at by any of the parties, it should be the safest way of doing it.
Yeah, it should be.
I remember we tried it here, Dermot. We spent millions on voting machines. It
didn't work very well, did it?
Never used them.
Never used them. Dermot is confirming he said, no, I'm not. Can I just clarify? I am not. I think he is the most. I found him funny in the pandemic when he kept saying to everyone, right,
inject bleach into your arm.
Inject bleach, right? Through them dark times of the pandemic, right? He was my ray of light. 10 o'clock every evening, CNN or Fox News, he would do a press conference. And you're guaranteed, right? You'd be guaranteed for half an hour or 45 minutes of a belly laugh, right?
Yeah, I know.
You really would. And to me, he helped me through the earlier times of the pandemic. Honestly.
No, fairness to me, it was a comedy show. But now, see, yesterday he was fined $5,000 for breaking a gag order and told if he does it again, he's going to be thrown into jail.
We've got Scottish Boiler 2. Yo, big up. How was your trip to Inverness? We've got Greg Selnet. I'm not calling him BT Selnet anymore because I got told off by Mia for calling that. He's Greg Selnet. He's like brilliance. I think, Greg. Big up, Greggy. Good afternoon, everyone. Peter M says, one thing about Biden, his right time to be president was in his late 80s, but he had to withdraw from the race of patronizing and milking. Is that patronizing?
Maybe I didn't hear that. I know he went quiet there for a long time, but
Adrian Lawrence, big up Adrian, says the code used by tech companies responsible for vote machines should be. That's a very good point, Philip.
Yeah.
I know we started on this, but it's actually a very good point. That.
Yeah, so it needs to be an open code, but a very secure one that can't be hacked into.
Yeah,
and I think they've got that under control.
Boris Britt says we will see what Russia does to the opposition by poisoning enemies of Putin on planes and then look.
No, don't go into a high room. Don't go into a 15th floor of a hotel bedroom in Moscow.
No,
that's all.
Can
I
I just say, Russia. I can remember Gorbachev, right, as a kid, and thinking, what the hell was that love bite on his head? I seriously thought my dad told me when I was a small kid that was a love bite Gorbachev had on his head. Right?
I thought it was a map of Africa.
Maybe it was. So I always thought that, and also with so he was the one that tried to bring in progressive Western ideas into Russia. Putin has now brought it back to what it was under Stalin.
He's trying to reform the Soviet Union. That's what he's trying to do. Yeah,
and it's not working because the people won't let it. The Russian people won't let it go back to how it was. And Boris Britt is right. You cannot have an opposition in Paris in Russia because he won't let you. Now apparently he's dead.
No, well, I don't know about that. He's got so many body doubles, though. He's got so many body doubles.
A bit like Saddam Hussein. That's why they had to do a DNA test on him when they found him, because they thought it was a double they found. Trump is still saying things now. His brain is 4 years behind.
Only four.
Greg said it was a simpler time when people were photoshopping Donald Trump drinking pints of James fluid during the
Yeah, very good. Very good.
Oh dear. I do remember that. That's the problem with Trump and Johnson. They're entertaining, but total crap at governing.
Well, do you know something with the hairstyles? They're like Mini. Remember that Austin Powers film with Mini Me in it? It's like it's Mini Me and his brother. You know.
Yeah. Do you remember Spitting Image around the time there? They had Donald Trump and they had COVID as his little companion. Yeah, that was so funny.
Yeah.
Scottish Baller 2 says, good, thanks. Just got back there. We won the game 35-15.
Oh, very
Woo!
good. Very good.
Well done.
Well, Camille, the next comment is very interesting, and I was just watching it before I came in here. But the cricket. No, not this one. Don't go near a window in Russia. You might accidentally fall out. Yeah, it happens a lot, you know.
Yeah. That's why I don't go into high. That's why I don't go into high hotels with Philip, because he might just chuck me out the window for looking for total control of this channel. Nobody does. Do you know? There could be a Russian style takeover here. So he's probably plotting. He's probably plotting to invade Wexford from his kitchen at the moment.
The tanks are on the Wicklow border at the moment.
Are they? Okay, yeah. What have we got here? We got donkeys and we got I don't know what we've got here.
Strawberries.
We've got Hurleys and forks and strawberries. We chuck strawberries at you. Yeah, we chuck strawberries at you. That'll stop you coming. He said the Soviet Union has failed and wanting the Russian Empire back up. He's fucking deluded. That
he wants the Tsar back in again, I think. Now this is the one here.
Here's some news to go to gladden the Irish hearts. England are 74-6 against South Africa in the Cricket World Cup. They're chasing 400. Come on, South Africa.
This could be a very interesting day where England get hammered by South Africa in both cricket and rugby in the same day.
Twice.
In England, they're the holders of the World Cup, and they're not even going to qualify if they lose this match, I think.
That'd be shocking.
Yeah, absolutely shocking. I mean, South Africa made 399. That's a hell of a score, you
know? We've got, laugh, but Trump kept the White House under that hairpiece.
300 Apparently, it takes him an hour and a half every morning to get the hair into place before he goes out.
Where is he? We've got to bring him up. Now we're talking about him. Where is he? There he is. Look at him. Look at that
hairstyle. That's a work of art. That's a work of art.
It is. A bit like, do you remember Don King back in the day, Philip?
Yeah, that's right. He had the same sort of fuzzy
sort
of.
How did he get his hair? He must have used a shitload of what do you call it? Hairspray.
Gel.
Oh, gel.
No,
or
I
did
reckon
he just stick
his finger in the socket. Stuck his finger in the socket.
He actually, Mike Tyson sued him for something like 300 million. He ripped off Mike Tyson.
Oh boy.
He ripped money off boxers left, right, and center. We've got. I think Trump and Johnson would be. Oh yeah, we're at that one. Oh yeah, we think Trump and Johnson would be good at running like cities as mayors, but not as primary leaders. Look, I lived in England when Boris Johnson was mayor of London, and I don't think he did a bad job. To be fair to him,
I think he was out of his depth when he got to prime minister level.
I think so.
Yeah.
But look,
Trump should never be in public office at all. No. Really, not fit for it.
We've got where are we now? Oh, sorry, we're up here. We've got nice to see Elvis back in the building. I don't know if he's talking about me or you, Philip.
That's you, Dermot.
Yeah, it's me. Yeah, I did do.
Can I just do a quick rundown of the scores at the moment at the games? We saw Liverpool beat Everton 2-0 earlier, and I will cover that in a minute. Bournemouth 1, Wolves 0, and the goal scorer was Dominic Solanke. Brentford 0, Burnley 0. Man City 2, Brighton 0. Alvarez and the Freak. Newcastle 1, Crystal Palace 0. Jacob Murphy, and 0 each between Nottingham Forest and Luton Town. And Chelsea and the other lot are playing at 5:30.
The two teams that we don't care about.
Yeah. They'll spend the whole 90 minutes chanting how they hate Spurs. That's what they'll be doing,
That's what nobody cares about cricket, says Carl. Just because you're losing.
I'll tell you the England cricket fans will. Jeez, that's a savage beating they're getting today.
It's been a total disaster for England, this Cricket World Cup.
I mean, Afghanistan beat them. I mean, that's sinking. Afghanistan, the team can't even go home. They all live abroad. And they cobbled together a team and they beat England quite easily.
Donald Trump, it's like he dipped his head into a candy floss machine.
That's a good description of it, actually. Yeah,
it is. We've got here, Trump has been officially classified by the CIA as an
autonomous life form. I'd say that it's been classified as an alien from outer space life form.
Yeah, that's so true. The England cricket team, unlike Spurs in the 90s, you never know what team was turning up.
Yeah. But, looking at they had a great test series against the Aussies during the summer there. Yeah. It was great, very entertaining. And now, this is a different form of the game, the 50-over game. But what's happened there?
Yeah. See, the thing is, the Soviet Union might not have happened if the king didn't kill Lenin's brother for trying to assassinate him.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's true.
That's true. That's back in the 20s, the early 20s.
Trump's hair is now in area
51. That's the one. That's what I'm looking at. Yeah, that's it.
As an unidentified
alien.
And Pete Rem says, Carl, but unlike our beloved Spurs, he actually won 2 World Cups. Yeah, that's so true. Right. We are going to put our waters into something else, Philip. I don't know if this is a good idea or not, but we're going to do it anyway. You know us, we're always trying to push the boundaries on this channel. So if you never see us again, thank you for watching. It's been great. It's been a great run. Okay, Philip, I'm going to put up the banner. I'm going to let you start it. All right. And then I will come in somewhere along the line. Oh, my God. Hope this works. Here we go.
Right. I think we're all horrified.
Can I just quickly say, I was going to say what you're going to say, Philip. We're totally horrified by what happened 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
What we're talking about is not taking one side against the other. It's about the humanitarian, what's happening with the innocent people on both sides, and where the West should be more looking for peace instead of trying to
the blame game.
The blame game. Yeah. Now, can I just say, as this channel, look, me and Philip are both Irish, so me and Philip have me personally, have a affinity with the Palestine people. But me personally, and also for Israel as well. But I think what's happening is wrong. That's another story. That's another show, another stream, another history behind it. But for what's happening there now, Philip, on both sides is wrong.
Yeah.
There should be peace, and there should be a way of talking this through. 78 years of what's going on has to stop, and it has to stop now. Sorry, Philip, you go ahead.
Yeah, well, I know it's 78 years in the modern world, but it's gone back way, way longer than that. It's gone back to the time of the Crusades, back in the 11th, 12th centuries. It's really, this is something that's been going through many, many lifetimes, and it's not anywhere near being settled. But I think everyone will agree the attack by Hamas 2 weeks ago today on that music festival and other things in Israel was unacceptable, was completely uncalled for. It was brutal. It was savage. They should have known, Hamas should have known that they've been dealing with Israel long enough. Israel do not sit back and take this thing without retaliating, right? Now, in my mind, the retaliation up to a point is justified.
Yeah.
Where it's not justified is when you start attacking the citizens of the West Bank, of Gaza. They are innocent. They have nothing to do with Hamas.
No.
Hamas are a terrorist organization, right?
Mhm.
Infiltrating the Palestinian people living in
Yeah.
Gaza, living in their houses, so that whenever if Israel want to attack, they're going to kill innocent civilians as well as Hamas. Hamas don't care. They all they want is the destruction of Israel. Now, Israel are absolutely heavily blamed for the retaliation. It was, in my mind, far too excessive, and the fact that they blocked off any aid coming in that wasn't affecting Hamas. That was affecting the everyday public, innocent people living, doing their daily business. They've no food,
Right.
they've no water, they've no anything.
Can I just put this as a viewpoint across, Philip? If I'm trying to play a more devil's advocate,
Right.
devil's advocate sort of role, and before my partner chucks anything at me for what I'm about to say, this is not my view. She knows my view on this subject. Do not chuck that can of rock shandy at me for what I'm about to say. Right? I have to put out a disclaimer there because Derbil's very much pro-Palestine, and look, we all are in Ireland within a certain way. I think we all are in a way, Philip. Look, what happened to Israel was wrong. It was a terrorist attack that needed retaliation, and I agree. They're allowed to retaliate to a certain point of view
Against the military people that did
against the military
but
people
not the
that did
public,
that,
not the general
not the
public.
public.
Yeah.
Stopping water, electricity, stopping fuel getting in, hospitals. People are drinking seawater. Hospitals, people doing operations without anesthetic by phone light because they've got no fuel to run the generators to run the electricity in the hospital. Also, the bombing of the hospital the other night. Now, Israel said it was Hamas. Hamas said it was Israel. It was one or the other, but innocent people died.
I think the proof there, Dermot, the evidence there is leaning towards a misfiring rocket from Hamas.
Well, nobody can.
It looks that way. It looks that way. I'm not saying it is that way. It looks that way.
Look, last night they issued an evacuation of a hospital in Gaza. 400 people were in that hospital, Philip. 12 people on life support machines. If you take them off, would die.
But Dermot, did you hear the reasoning behind that? Why that was done?
I don't listen. I'm
not condoning it. What I'm saying is and this was done because Hamas were in amongst the guys in the hospital. Hamas were infiltrated the refugees staying in the hospital gardens, and that's why it was a warning. It was never carried out.
But Philip, it's miscommunication. It's one side spinning propaganda and the other side doing propaganda. That's what it's all about, propaganda.
It's war. I mean, the propaganda. Listen, half the things that happen in war aren't on the battlefield. They're all in the mind.
At the moment,
Philip, it's a matter of public opinion.
Yeah, at the moment, there's a genocide happening, and I'm sorry to call it, but that's what it is.
Well, I'm not going to go that far down because I'll tell you one thing. I've got a lot of history. I've read the history of Israel. I've seen what happened to them during the Second World War, right? Which is tantamount to what they're doing to the Palestinians now, right?
Yeah.
But one thing with Israel is this, right? 1948, they were formed by the state of Israel was formed, right? At that particular time, they should have formed the Palestinian state as well. Then we probably wouldn't be having this problem.
For that, Philip? Who was to blame for that?
A lot of the UK were involved, Britain were involved. There's a lot of countries involved. You know, Israel, I think Britain got out of that area after the Second World War in 1948, as far as I remember.
So basically, right, look, Wayne Bonner puts it here, the whole situation is nothing more than another pointless genocide. And that's what it is.
Yeah, it is. This is not going to solve a problem. It might calm down after a while. It'll be back again in 2 years' time.
Yeah, they're telling people to move from one side of Gaza to the other. And then they're afraid they won't go because they're afraid if they go, they won't be allowed back into their homes. Now, forget these people haven't got homes like you and me, Philip, or anyone watching. They're living in a third world country where the Palestinian people depend on the UN aid that comes in from the United Nations, which is 1,000 trucks a day for fuel, food, medical equipment. And as I said before,
It's not quite 1,000, it's
Israel,
450 trucks a day, I think.
yeah,
450.
Israel has a right to defend itself within international law.
Yeah.
So do Palestine within international law.
But neither of them have done that.
Both sides have committed war crimes.
Yeah.
Both sides.
But Dermot, can I make a point here? I have one thing I cannot get my head around is this. Israeli intelligence is generally regarded as the best, one of the best in the world. They know things are going to happen long before they do, and they look after it. Right now, it's my theory that Benjamin Netanyahu, who is as far right as you can get, right, and to me, he's an absolute thug. He's worse than Donald Trump. He should never be in office, right?
Yeah.
He knew about this. He was told, but he sat on it, waiting for Hamas to do it, to give him an excuse to do what Israel's done.
Why?
Because he wants to destroy the Palestinian state.
And look, when 9/11 happened, Philip, the world was stunned.
Yeah.
And America went into Afghanistan to rid the Taliban out of Afghanistan, and into Iraq to rid Saddam Hussein and ISIS out of Al-Qaeda out of Iraq and Afghanistan, respectively. It created a hellhole over there. Thousands of troops lost their lives for a war that really should not have happened. They'd be better off leaving Saddam in there, my point of view, because he was the one that was holding it all together.
No, I think his own people had turned on Saddam at that stage, Dermot.
But if you look then, 20 years later, Philip, what did he do? The Americans pull out and the Taliban take over. So Afghanistan's back in the same place that it was before 2000.
Well, listen, we're not going to Afghanistan because we're here all day talking about that.
No, but
Afghanistan was America should never have pulled out of Afghanistan.
No, the point I'm trying to make, Philip, is America is back in Israel. Yeah, okay, and they put $10 million. The British have put $10 million into.
Because you can't back a terrorist organization. You have to.
You can't back
Hamas. You have to back the other side.
And I also want to make it clear: me and Philip do not, in one iota, we condone what Hamas did, and we condone what Israel have done since. Up to a point,
it's equally to blame. They're both to blame.
It's equally
it's shocking. It's shocking.
What we're trying to raise a point here is the Palestinian people in the West Bank who have been shot. 61 people have been killed, Philip, in the West Bank alone.
Yeah.
And these are people.
I'm not denying that. I know it's shocking.
The people,
there's Israeli settlers living in the West Bank, and they'll say they're defending themselves.
Yeah. There has to be a way of making a two-tier state for Israel and Palestine to live side by side. Not a two-tier state. Two states to live side by side.
Yeah. And it would be very easy for everyone to sit down and say, right, okay, you're there anyway. You're a de facto state anyway without the proper official name. Give them the official name, let them get on with it. But that's never going to happen because the animosity is too deep.
And the problem is, Philip, you push people. Look, you go back through our history, right? You push like the back in the 1900, but back in 1918 general election here in Ireland, Philip, the British pushed the Irish so far. What did the Irish do? They turned to Sinn Féin. They turned to Michael Collins and all the IRA at the time, and they supported that.
Yeah.
They were all fine until the executions of the 1916 leaders.
The Dublin people were against the uprising until that.
They were.
Yeah.
And then you push people far enough and you keep them under. And people here, some of the comments here, Philip, I thought this would be a little bit of taboo, but some that, again, our chat has come in, and fair play to them. Fair play to them. And I'm really sort of humbled by what people are saying. Well, I don't know where to get back. Here we go. We start this one. Seems to me that regards to Gaza crisis, there's little hope for peace.
There is very little.
There is
very little.
Scottish Baller 2. It's too late for the US and UK to go back because they're the ones who created Israel in 1948, and it lit the fuse for the war in the Middle East. Which there has been so many.
They should have created a double back then. That we wouldn't be having this problem now.
I agree, Wayne. I cannot see it stopping anytime soon. I agree. The only thing when they bomb target is that Hamas use people homes to set up missiles. That
Yeah,
is, and
that's
it
that's
is
it.
disgusting.
That's a terrible.
That's the
I mean,
problem.
that is actually against the rules of engagement when it comes to
Yeah.
war. You know, so
Everything's in the
but then
fog
again,
of
Jeremy,
war.
it's not an excuse.
No,
It's not an excuse for Israel to bomb those houses.
no, it's
You
not.
know, no excuse.
In the fog of war, people are blinded, Philip,
Yeah,
until the fog is lifted.
exactly.
The trouble is that Hamas and the far right Israeli government are both run by religious factions, fanatics
Fanatics.
who
Yeah,
want totally destroy the other side.
exactly.
Also, Netanyahu is the worst PM
Yeah,
Israel ever had.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy is an indicted criminal. He's actually up
Yeah.
for corruption, and there he is running the country.
Yeah.
You know,
It just,
he should be in jail, not running the
Yeah.
country.
I just hope they can live side by side in equal opportunities and living with peace.
No,
The whole
that's
situation
I
is
love that.
nothing more than another pointless genocide.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Gaza has been a huge presence since 1967.
That's it.
If anything's to blame, the UN. It was the UN that wanted. If anything, if you do want to read that one out, Philip,
Yeah, if anything, blame the UN. It was the UN that divided up the land between Israel and Palestine after Britain handed the UN the land to then divided it in 1948.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if as I said, if they created two separate states, the state of Israel and the state of Palestine, then they might be living side by side now. But it didn't happen, and now we're paying the price for that.
The reason he probably sat in the intel was Israel was on steps of civil war due to his policies.
That's it. True. You see, this you don't know. I mean, Netanyahu is a very divisive character in Israel. Half the people hate him, and the other half he's buying them off to keep in power.
Israel are at fault for stealing Gaza land. It's been going on since the 50s. Stop stealing Palestine. Group, and that's a very good point as well.
That's a good
Philip.
point. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It's
Israel have got the military might to do this type of thing.
Yeah.
You know, the Israeli army is one of the most professional in the world, and they've done things that they're not proud of, I'm sure. But stealing land from Palestine is horrendous.
Wayne Bonner says, it seems to me the war will never end. It's the innocent and especially the children in the Middle East who have suffered the consequences. War is an abhorrent.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you. Absolutely.
It is. It was Britain's responsibility as the international mandate holder for Palestine to put the two-state solution into effect, but pulled out, leaving the Israelis to boot the Palestinians out. Steve D says, poor choice of topic. We have no idea of the reality. Sorry, guys.
Well, because we know what we can do. We know enough reality to know that what's going on is not acceptable from either side.
Been talking about this, and we knew we had to get it out somewhere, so we thought put it in within the podcast instead of doing the whole show in itself. We are going to move on. And Carl Simpson got to go. See you later, everyone in the chat.
Yeah, Carl.
See you later, Carly. Look, the final words in this, Philip. Look, we all hope for peace. We all hope for everyone to live side by side. If there's any chance of a ceasefire, which desperately needs to happen, or for aid to get in, for the aid to get in, for the Palestinian people to get food, medicine, fuel to run the water pumps, medicine for the hospitals to treat the victims, and food for children and people that need it, Philip. What needs to happen? What needs to do? Does some other country, Middle Eastern country, have to come in and be a mediator here?
Well, there was an agreement just about to be going into force between Saudi Arabia and Israel just before this all kicked off. And I begin to wonder, was the timing to stop that agreement going into force, you know? Yeah, I mean, you can mediate all you like, but I mean, the animosity here goes back hundreds of years and in 2 or 3 generations of the present conflict. So like only an extreme optimist would say this is going to settle nicely for everybody. It's not. I'm afraid it's going to carry on. This might quieten down for a while, but then something else will happen and drag it all up again. And it's just a very sad situation.
We have to see when they go in on the ground invasion what's going to happen then, Philip. And look, again, me and Philip, again, our views are what happened to Israel, the terrorist attack was an atrocity, should never have happened.
And neither should the force of the retaliation.
No, should the force of retaliation. Defend yourself within reason. We can all accept that.
Yeah.
But going as far as you have done, you've gone over the top. Egypt, Jordan, You seen the people protesting in all the other Arab states.
Well, they're protesting in London today. They're protesting everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there really is huge sympathy for the Palestinian cause, which is understandable, you know. But one thing that needs to be done now is, you see those thousands of trucks that are waiting on the Egyptian border. Get them in. Never mind 20 trucks. Get them in. Get them all in.
Get them in. And look, we may go back to this. We may touch.
We'll keep an eye on it. We'll keep an eye on it.
But can I just say that we're not. We totally. Our sympathies are with the. Our sympathies are.
Anybody who's been bereaved by this.
Yeah. Our sympathies are also with the bereavement people of 1,400 Israelis who died to the hands of terrorists, and also the nearly 4,500 Palestinian people who have died as well. Our thoughts are with them, not with Hamas, not with anybody else. It's with the families who have lost loved ones during this tragic war. And that's what it is, a war. And it's a tragic war.
Back at the ranch, I'll just give you an update on the scores at the moment.
I'll just read this one here, Philip. My best friend is Jewish. His parents are from Israel, and they're completely against the war.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Most like-minded people are, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, the scores
back at the ranch.
Bournemouth 1, Wolves 0. Brentford 1, Burnley 0. Manchester City still 2-0 up on Brighton. And I think Newcastle maybe just about to go 2-0 up on Crystal Palace. I'll come back to that. And Nottingham Forest 0, Luton 0. Just waiting to see, is there a goal for Newcastle? It certainly looks like it.
And just to give you an update on the cricket as well, England are 100 to 100.
Wow.
Wow.
So that's a huge hammer. I mean, they're 300 runs behind now.
Yeah.
Good God.
Yeah.
It's serious.
It is serious. Now, Philip, let's get back to our subject called Tottenham Hotspur, which we all know. Look, I'm sorry if we offended anyone. Our intentions were never to offend anyone by the subject we just talked about in the podcast. But we felt strongly enough to come out with it, didn't we, Philip? And
it had to be. I mean, you can't duck away from situations like that, you know.
Look, we apologize if anyone's been offended by any the what we've talked about, either about the US bit of it.
It's very subjective, though. It's very you can't please everybody and thing like that. You know?
Yeah, but we apologize, don't we, Philip, if we have offended anyone.
We're giving our own views on it and trying to make sense of it all, which is not easy. Newcastle 2-0 up now, actually, on Palace.
Look, Steve D says, picking a flag to pin your morals to in a conflict that's had no regard on either side for common decency, two wrongs and all that. What do you say to Steve D, Philip?
I'm trying to figure out what he's actually saying. Picking a flag to pin your morals to is a conflict that's had no regard for either side for common decency. Two wrongs don't make a right. Yeah, no, two wrongs don't make a right. I mean, neither side's blameless in this, you know. And we're not taking sides. We're saying as things are happening. Like, I'm not waving my Israeli on my Palestinian flag. I feel sorry for everybody on both sides that's been affected by this, you know.
I mean, we've got a badge put up with both flags next to each other, haven't we? And that's which I probably will put up. But look, I'm seeing it from a humanity side, from a human side, humanitarian side. That's the way I'm looking at it from. And
look, I've lived in the border area here in Ireland. I've seen the troubles at first hand.
Yeah,
I was nearly blown up a couple of times in Belfast, so I know, you know, I can, in a small way, I can empathise with what's going on here. I'd be dead only for the fact that one day in Belfast, I was walking past the Europa Hotel, and a British soldier pushed me into a doorway. The next thing, the hotel went up 50 yards away. Small margins. You know, so I do feel for anybody that's caught up in a war situation, we lived through it long enough.
Yeah, my mother was from Northern Ireland. I've been in Northern Ireland enough during the Troubles to know what it was like.
Yeah.
And look, it is, and we've been through it as a nation, Philip, as well as a country. We've been through
absolutely
what's happening, and we had to fight for our freedom.
Yeah.
And sadly, people have to fight for their freedom. People get pushed so far, and then you've been occupied, and then you, as I said back in the 1918 election over here, the majority of Irish voted for Sinn Féin, and that brought in then the War of Independence. That then brought in the First Dáil, which then brought in the War of Independence, which then led to the Free State, which then led to Ireland, I think, in 1938. And then in 1946, we left the Commonwealth and we passed the Ireland Act to become a republic. So Ireland's only 102 years old as a country. We're a baby compared to some of the other countries around the world.
Yeah.
We had to fight. We had our forefathers, our people, our ancestors, Philip, fought for our freedom, fought for us to live in a free, democratic society where where the people vote. The people vote for the government. The people vote for changes to the constitution. People vote for changes in laws. It's the vote by the people for the people.
It's not that, like, I mean, I know we're 102 years in existence. My grandfather told me stories of life in Belfast in the 1920s. That Catholic families would be hiding under the table when the Black and Tans would come in and ransack the house. I mean, that's very similar to what's going on now in Israel and Palestine when you think about it. It's one side showing total disregard for the safety and the well-being of the other. So it happens, you know, we've been through it here in this country up to 1999. And in fact, it's still going on in some way. There are still dissidents there that would love to see a return to the old days of conflict.
They would, Philip. Wayne Bonner says, no need to apologise, Dermot. We're all human and it's a subject worthy and needing of discussion. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks, Wayne.
Steve D says, all we can hope for is human decency. It's one thing that binds us. So it is. Yeah. And that is spot on. What Steve D said there is spot on.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah.
Peter M says, I'm quite happy to discuss the major issues on this channel. Anyone who has some feelings for others must be upset by the Israeli-Gaza situation. We need to discuss such issues. And it's something we will bring up on this show. We and Philip have been talking for months about doing a politics news show, haven't we, Philip?
Yeah.
How often have we talked about it? So it's something we may
do
once a week or do a small
That's what's going on in the world.
Yeah, half an hour podcast on the current affairs. So that's something we may do. If you want us to do it, let us know. And we will put that together. Scottish Baller says both sides must take responsibility. Yeah, exactly. Absolutely 120% spot on. And then Peter says, my grandfather fought for Poland's independence against the Soviet Union in 1921. The Irish independence struggle is a good analogy.
Yeah, it is actually. Yes, it is.
That's why I use it, Philip, because it's the nearest thing I think for people to understand.
Yeah. And okay, it's happened in Turkey and Armenia over there in that direction as well. But yeah, there's been a few cases over the years where it's happened. This is the closest to the Irish struggle. Really.
It's like the famine as well, Philip. That seemed to swept under the rug a lot. It is swept under the rug.
There's a lot of. You know, we all know that famine could easily have been avoided, but it wasn't.
Yeah. And that was because we were occupied by another nation. And when you get occupations, you get underground resilience to it, underground rebels. And that's how it starts, Philip. And then the people, if you push the people too far, the people will follow that rebel alliance.
Yeah.
They will follow them people that would think, well, we can give you what you want. You just need to follow. And it's a sad fact of life that human beings will follow a violent route because we all human at the game. Human nature, Philip, we're a violent race. How many wars has there been over the years through religion, oil?
There's been more religious wars than any other type, I think.
Yeah. We are a violent. Now, if there is other people out in the universe, Philip, other nations, aliens, they must look at us and think, these are a pack of fucking lunatics on this planet. Seriously, though.
Just to mention, go back to the famine, Dermot. That famine, well, it wasn't generally known much at the time, but I mean, we were exporting grain to England at a time when our own population was starving. That can't be right.
No, it isn't. They did a film, didn't they? Black 47 came out a few years ago.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's a good
film. If you ever see it, go and watch it. It's violent, but you see, it's a bit like it's like a bit about a guy going and getting revenge for all the wrongs that were done to his family. It's very, very good film.
It is a very good film at all. Peter M. Also, Northern Ireland has a religious dimension, which makes it a good
Yeah,
comparator.
comparator.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's
The
changing at the moment.
the major problem is public of Israel keep voting for warmongers in their government. The old people must stay out of public. Do you want to read that out? Sorry, Philip.
Yeah, the old people must stay out of public vote for different people, but with Israeli public, you don't. Yeah, they keep voting the same. Like, how many times is Netanyahu in their office?
Yeah.
This isn't his first time to be prime minister in between court cases. So yeah, I need a complete clean sweep there, bringing in moderates who don't want war. They would rather talk rather than fight. Whether that'll ever happen, I just do not know.
But as I said, Philip, you keep pushing a certain occupied civilians. They will. As I said, look, as I keep going back to it, Philip. In 1918, we voted for Sinn Féin, which led then to the War of Independence. You keep pushing a society under occupation that will go towards the side of war.
Yeah, I'll just read this one out, Dermot.
Yeah, of course, you can read a few out there.
Yeah,
Philip.
Poland was partitioned because between Germany and Austria and Russia for 150 years. The independence movement grew apace and finally got independence in 1918, but they had to fight the Soviet Union to survive. Yeah, that's right. I mean, Poland is a case in point. Poland resisted the Nazis in 1939 as well, and like now they're helping out the Ukraine a lot. So Poland has been a focal point of a lot of the comings and goings in the border things over the last 120 years or so. And this comment here, this is very good. I'm very interested in this one. Hold on. Sorry, no, it was this one here. Sorry, this one there. Scottish Ball will say, honestly, my grandfather told me horrible stories of the abuse he took for being a Catholic. Yeah, this is, sorry, I should have read this bit first. This is the first one. My grandfather, when he moved from Glasgow from Armagh during the 50s, was discriminated against because of his religious stance and where he was from. I think we must all move on from this behaviour. Now, just give me an example here. This is going back to Belfast in the early of the 1910s, when the Titanic was being built in Belfast, right? Not one Catholic worker worked on that ship, right? Maybe one or two that lied about their religion. It's said that the Catholic put a curse on that ship because of the way that the way it was built, and the discrimination against Catholics in the Holland and Wolff shipyard of Belfast. You could not get a job if you were a Catholic, basically, in Belfast at that time. That's how much it's changed over the last 100 years. But it was terrible to be living as a Catholic. It was like I akin it to the Palestinian situation. That if you put the Israelis with the Protestants and the Palestinians were the Catholics. That's how bad it was in Belfast and Ireland at that stage. So maybe that's why there's a few stories about the Titanic I can tell you as well, but that's for another day. Because my grandfather was supplied a lot of the furniture to that ship. He worked for a furniture company in Belfast, and he used to tell me the stories about it. He said, "I'm sorry I didn't get him to write down because there was some fantastic ones."
Yeah, and he says also, Philip, honestly, you just went through it there.
Yeah.
Steve D says, understanding what divides people to take unbelievable action, the key to peace, we need to dig deep into the fabric of humanity to find a common thread that binds us. Unfortunately, politics interfere.
Yeah, that's it. Politics, true, oil, and money. Politics, oil, and money. That's it.
And perhaps because I went to a Catholic school, we got a lot about Irish history in our history A-level class.
Yeah.
Look, my house was very divided. Protestant mother, Catholic father. Mother from Northern Ireland, my father from Ireland. Yeah. So I was brought up as a Catholic, Roman Catholic. My ex-wife was Church of England, so I got married in the Church of England church. So look, and that my mother refused to come to the wedding if we didn't do a certain part of the ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
Now she went there as a protest, I think. And look, for me, we're a human race that live on a little planet.
We're only keeping it warm next generation, and that's the problem.
And that's the problem. We are dooming the next generation with everything, with wars and with greed and with corruption and everything. The next generation that follows us, Philip, in the next 100 years, we're leaving in the worst place than when we found it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think I feel sorry for the next generation that
Well, I mean,
comes
that's
after
the
us.
goal of every generation, is to leave it
Yeah.
in as good or as better state than you found it, and that's not going to happen this time, I'm afraid.
No. And even Spurs have ruined this generation with not winning a lot of trophies, which we
Anyway,
are.
Let's get on to the Spurs stuff now.
Let's get on to the actually title of the podcast. Can Spurs kick on after the international break after nearly an hour of me and Philip talking politics, which I didn't think it would go on that long, Philip.
Well, I guess it might, you know.
Yeah, but fair play to everyone for the comments.
No, well done, lads. That was good. Some excellent comments there. Really appreciate it.
Again, if we have offended anyone,
it's not meant to. It's not meant to. You know,
it's not meant to. We do apologize, but it wasn't meant to, and we will do this once a week. If you want us to do it, I'm going to actually put a poll up in the chat. Philip, do you want to start this? Why Spurs are made to play?
Yeah, this is okay. I know we've had 2 weeks off, right? But we've had our team. 10 of our starting 11 against Luton were off on international duty. They're back now, hopefully all back in one piece, although there was a scare about Romero and Son, but I think they're okay. Right, so we have no game this weekend. I mean, I got the Irish Independent this morning. I'm looking at the football fixtures, and we're not even mentioned in it. But they don't even go as far as Monday. So according to them, we're not even playing this weekend. So we're playing Monday night against Fulham, London derby, high pressure, as London derbies always are. And then following Friday night, within 96 hours, we're playing away to Crystal Palace on the Friday. Now, what genius put that one up? It's bad enough having to play 2 games within 4 days, but 2 London derbies. Okay, I know there's no travelling involved, but London derbies tend to be a bit more high pressure than when you're playing a team outside London. So I think that's a bit unfair on Spurs, you know. I don't want to sound like Jurgen Klopp complaining about having these 12:30 kickoffs every day. You know what? Does he not get up till midday? Is that his problem? You know?
No, that's just you, Philip. That's just you not getting up to midday and just rolling in after you've done your Irish Tom Jones act.
Shush.
Like you were the other night. I got to admit it to people, right? People may not know this, right? But Philip is a bit of a dab hand of acting like other superstars. And the other night he was in Sligo doing a bit of his Joe Dolan impressions, right? And when I rang him the next day, he was in Ballina, which is close to where my dad's from in Ballycastle, doing a stint there. This man travels more around Ireland than our Taoiseach does. He's off to America.
I was only coming home via Ballina. Actually, it was Enniscromie, which is a good bit away from Sligo town.
Yeah.
But within the Ballina, first thing you see in Ballina is the mural of Jack Charlton up on the wall of one of the pubs.
You should have took a picture of that, Philip.
Well, I have pictures from the last time I was there, you know.
Oh, but, if you send them to me, we'll put them up on the channel.
Yeah, I think I was back about 3 years. I think I probably have it on my phone, yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's also Joe Biden gets a mention too, because he went to Ballina during the year as well, you know.
Another US president that pretends he's Irish. Yeah. That his great grandmother came from some village that doesn't exist anymore. I have friends who are Muslim, Jewish, and Catholic like me, and other religions. We are all humans at the end of the day.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm sure we'll be able to get on, you know.
Yeah. One of my closest colleagues in the 1980s was involved in the cross-community magazine Fortnight. Not the game. Can I just say this is not the game, Fortnight. This was a magazine. He invited to his homes in Portadown and showed me around. Thanks to him, I got to understand the troubles.
Yeah, Portadown, for anyone that's not aware, Portadown would be a predominantly Protestant town.
Yeah. South Africa won by 229 runs.
Whew. Oh boy.
And Spurs should be beating Fulham on Monday.
Well, we should. I mean, I'm just to go back to the football there. You know, like with players away on international duty. Hopefully, they're all back. And in fact, I believe the only injured member of the squad is the Invisible Man now, Ryan Sessegnon.
Him.
Yeah, I remember him.
Who's
he?
Some
young lad we bought from Fulham, and he's hardly been seen since. You know.
Is that the fella? Hang on. I think I got his picture here somewhere. Is that him? Is that in there?
An artist's impression. They must have got that quickly in one of his visits to the stadium. It could be.
Yeah.
The skin might be a bit darker now, but apart from that,
apparently it could be in the back of that. That's an ambulance leaving Hotspur away with him in the back of it.
Yeah, that's true. But no, I'm just saying that it's unfortunate that we've got the 2 days off after the international break is probably a bit of a bonus for us to get the players.
Yeah, it is.
You know, to play another London derby within 4 days. Okay, if we win the games, fair enough, that's great. But there's a good comment here from Andrew Gregory, which just sums up what I'm saying there. But he says, Ask Daniel Levy and Donna. Oops. Ask Daniel Levy and Donna.
Sorry. There we go.
Why they never complain like other teams. If that was Klopp, you'd be throwing his lederhosen out of the pram. Well, I'll tell you one thing. He needn't throw his lederhosen out of the pram today after what Liverpool got away with today against Everton. We talk about that now, Dermot, or we wait till later on?
We'll wait till later on. We've got one more thing to go on to. Some of these comments here are brilliant, Philip. They really are. The simplest phrase that sums up humanity, and being a Spurs fan, is birds of a feather flock together. That's our biggest failing. Humanity reminds me of lemons. If everyone remembers the game, oh no, I knew it was coming. Look, we got.
Oh no! Oh dear! Oh dear!
So Bobby Charlton, a former World Cup winner, brother of Jack Charlton, has died just now. Now, I'm
so sorry. Bobby Charlton was an absolute gentleman. I mean, one of the great footballers of the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, I want to see. Can I get more on this?
I'm just bringing it up here now to see.
Yeah, I'm bringing up. Now, he was a former World Cup winner. He was part of the Busby Babes, if I remember. He was in the Munich air crash.
He was badly injured in the Munich air crash.
Yeah. And we were only talking about him the other day, weren't we, Philip?
We were actually, we were. Yeah. We just because he's had Alzheimer's, I think, for a while.
Yeah. Charlton is he's the greatest ever player, scoring 249 goals in 758 appearances for United. He won the European Cup with United in '68, as well as 3 First Division titles. Ashton-born Charlton also won the World Cup with England in 1966. And am I right to say there's only one surviving member left of that 66 World Cup team?
Jeff Hurst, I think, is the only one.
Jeff Hurst, that's the only one that's left.
Yeah. Oh, that's very sad. I mean, Bobby Charlton, I know he played for Manchester United and everything, but he was an absolutely brilliant. He had a shot, he had a really bullet of a shot on him. He's really hit the ball so hard. And this comb over with the hair, he keep brushing the hair back over when he was playing, you know. Oh, that's very sad. I'm very sad. I mean, he can go and have a good chat with Jack now.
Yeah, he will. I look, for me, I'm very sad. Look, we all know he's Manchester United, and of course, this is a statement. The statement was that it was a great sadness that we shared the news that Sir Bobby passed peacefully in the early hours of Saturday morning. A statement from his family read. He was surrounded by his family. His family would like to pass on their thanks to everyone who's contributed to his care and for many people who have loved and supported him. We would request that the family's privacy be respected at this time. Manchester United paid their own tribute to Charlton, who they called one of the greatest and most beloved players in the club's history. United said Sir Bobby was a hero to millions, not just in Manchester or the United Kingdom, but whenever footballers played around the world, a clump statement read. He was admired as much for his sportsmanship and his integrity as he was for his outstanding qualities as a footballer. So Bobby will always be remembered as a giant of the game. As a graduate of our youth academy, Sir Bobby played 758 games and scored 249 goals during the 17 years as a Manchester United player, winning the European Cup, 3 league titles, an FA Cup, and for England, he won 106 caps, scoring 49 goals for England, and won the World Cup in 1966. Following his retirement, he went on to serve the club with distinction as a director for 39 years. His unparalleled record of achievement, character, and service will forever etched in the history of Manchester United and English football. His legacy will live on through the life-changing work of the Sir Bobby Charlton Foundation. The club heartfelt sympathies are with his wife, Lady Norma, his daughters and grandchildren, and all who loved him. And it says more to follow. Yeah. But that is the statements from Bobby Charlton's family and from Manchester United. Philip, look, we all know. Look, the '66 World Cup. Look, the podcast has now just gone a bit AWOL a little bit, but I think we should finish off with talking about this, Philip, and the rest of the podcast we'll put back to next week. Bobby Charlton, look, we all know how much Jack Charlton meant to us over here as Big Jack with the manager, and he was a great player in his own right for Leeds as well, and then he managed a bit. How do you feel Bobby Charlton will be remembered the most for? I know he won the World Cup, Philip, but is there something else that he will be remembered more for than winning the World Cup?
I think no. I'm open to correction on this, and maybe someone will. But I understand that. I think during his entire career, he was never booked.
Yeah, I think so.
Or if he was, maybe but once or twice. He was an impeccable player on the pitch. He was a lovely player. I mean, it's hard to know what role he's playing now. I mean, 49 goals for England, so he was up there with Jimmy Greaves for scoring for England.
And that record stood for a long, long time, Philip.
Yeah,
it stood for. Was it Wayne Rooney that broke that record?
I think it was Wayne Rooney, and then Harry Kane's now broken it. Yeah, no, he was a gentleman. No matter what club, I think he's one of those players. Even though he didn't play for the club you supported him, you always had great admiration for him.
Yeah.
And for what he did and the way he conducted himself on the pitch. He was an ambassador as well as a good footballer.
And let us
it's
not,
really, really sad.
And let us not forget, Philip, he was involved in the Munich air crash in 1958.
He was badly hurt, isn't it?
Badly hurt as well. Do you think that shaped his football career after that and his mentality of life after that? Do you think that shaped him into the person he become?
Well, it's certainly, anyone that survives a plane crash, you're going to thank your lucky stars and thank God that you're still alive to carry on with what you love doing. So I think he probably went at it in memory of the teammates that didn't make it that day. I mean, it must be horrible to think that you're on a plane with some guys and 5 minutes later, 10 or 11 of them are dead. I mean, that is just unthinkable to come around to that and to come back so quickly and to win so many trophies with the club that you love after that. No, it was just a pure example of what football. I'll tell you something. Some of the footballers today should look at Bobby Charlton and say, I want to emulate him, be like him, not like some of the way that some of them are behaving at the moment. So
he really was how footballers should be. And people respected him. People respected him more than every footballer respected him. And I hope he will be I'm just checking the poll.
Well, the fact that he was knighted, he's now a third Bobby Charlton, just shows you what esteem he was held in. There's not that many. I know Jeff Hurst was knighted, but there's not all the England team of that World Cup team got knighted. Bobby Charlton did.
Jimmy Greaves should have been knighted. Jack Charlton
Jimmy
was
Greaves
never
should have
knighted.
been. Yeah, Jimmy Greaves should have been.
Jack Charlton was never knighted. He should have been, or was he?
No, he wasn't.
No, he should have been.
By the way, Nottingham Forest have just gone 1-0 up on Luton. So.
All right. That's not a surprise.
The scores are the same.
Yeah. That's truly heartbreaking, says Steve D. Back to footy. I don't see us playing a derby on Monday, then on Friday as problematic, given there are 3 full days in between them. Sad to hear about Sir Bobby. Loved him when I was a kid.
I think my point on that, Peter, was that every other team has 6 days between matches. We only have 4.
Yeah. To think that Kane's goal record is comparable to the great Charlton says it all. A midfielder in the era without minnows. That is a very good point, actually, Philip. There was no minnows back then. There was no.
Well, there was, but he didn't play them.
No, he didn't play them. No. Did he play in the side that? Did he play in the side that lost to Hungary, or was that a bit before?
No. That was 1954. That was way before his time.
Bobby Charlton was the best attacking midfielders I have seen, and his long distance shooting was quite perilous. A role model for James Maddison to emulate.
Absolutely,
yeah, that's so true. Scottish baller says, "Rest in peace."
Yeah,
Charlton's goal return for England was far more impressive than Kane's. He was a midfielder playing in the era. But look, I agree with that. I think his goal return was far better than Harry Kane's. Well,
goal numbers, if you count numbers alone, Kane's is better. But again, from the teams he scored against, as far as I don't know, did Bobby Charlton take penalties for England? I don't know if he did or not.
No. But I can remember one goal he scored against Portugal in the World Cup semi-final, right? And it was a thunderbolt.
Yeah, that's right.
Absolute thunderbolt. On the more happy note, Tottenham women have beat on top of the league, I think, as well.
For a while there, we were top of all the leagues. I mean, technically, we're still top of the Premiership because Liverpool only there on goals scored. But we're doing very well now. Very well.
Bobby Moore wasn't knighted. There's another player should have been. The captain was never knighted, and that for me is shocking.
Who wasn't?
Bobby Moore, the captain, England captain, was never knighted.
Yeah. He died too quickly afterwards. I think if he'd lived to now, he would have been knighted. Yeah.
He died when he died in the 90s.
Oh, he's dead 20 years or more.
Yeah, he's
More than
dead.
20
Yeah,
years.
20 years.
Yeah.
Rangers are 2-0 up versus Hibs at halftime. If anyone cares, well, let us know, Scottish Baller. Who do you follow? Is it Celtic, Rangers, Aberdeen? Let us know. Let us know. Fair play to Rangers, 2-0 up.
I think the reason that they did this
You
might
can
be
see
because
the
most clubs and
tumbleweeds
stuff like
starting to come across the screen once we mention Rangers. The tumbleweeds just start coming. Because I think
the cricket started appearing.
the cricket. Yeah, I think the reason they did that might be because most clubs in the top half of the table are having 2 matches a week with Europe and main leagues. Maybe that's actually a very good point.
Maybe.
Now, Philip, and then Steve Point D, good point. Now, Philip, this could be the team that starts on Monday. Now, Mia had a total change of team. She doesn't like Oibia. Me and Mia are doing the stream. Philip is going to be the mediator. He's going to be the referee. I'm going to be for Hoybia. Mia's against Hoybia. We are going to get that together for next week, one evening next week. Philip is referee. So Philip will have to come up with
who
the
else
rules.
are we going to put in instead of Hoybia? I mean, he's a natural replacement for Bassoon.
Well, I can't remember who Mia
Oliver
actually...
Skip's the only other one I can think of.
Now,
by the way, whenever Bentancur is back soon, that's going to be one hell of a midfield.
It is. Now, would you put a Ben Davies and make it a 5-5-2-3 formation?
Well, for playing at home to Fulham?
Yeah.
No, I'd leave it the way it was. Yeah. Why put an extra defender on against Fulham?
Look, for me, Philip, this is my point, right? Højbjerg does a very good job. He's came on. He may not be the best player in the world, right? He may not be the most attacking minded, but he is. Anytime he's been asked to do a job, Philip, he's done it. If you want, with 5 minutes to go, and you want somebody to lay his life down for the club, Højbjerg is your man. I don't understand why everyone hates Højbjerg so much.
I don't think they hate him. I think they think he's not. Just think he's not the type of player that fits in with Spurs. I'd be actually gutted if he leaves in January.
Yeah, same here. And it's Cockeral has said that he doesn't want him to leave either.
Yeah, no.
He didn't want to leave to Fulham because
our squad is thin enough in places, right? Okay, we're lucky enough in midfield. If you add Højbjerg and Bentancur to the normal midfield, you've got a really, really good midfield there. I think he needs to stay. He needs to stay because all it's going to take is, like, we don't know how good Bentancur is going to be when he comes back. Is he going to get a reaction to his injury? You know, is he going to be the same player he was when he left us in February?
It's going to take time, I think, for him
to get. Yeah, it's going to take time.
Yeah. But look, that team is capable of beating
anybody.
Anybody. And we owe Fulham as well. Don't forget that.
If I can do owe them, yeah.
Yeah. Look, Philip, we're going to get through some of the comments and then we're going to call it there for the podcast because we are back on tonight. If you are a rugby fan, me and Philip will continue to talk nonsense while rugby game's going on.
Yeah, as you do.
And tonight, it's a repeat of the 2019 World Cup final. England against South Africa. South Africa have beaten them in the cricket. Can they beat them in the rugby?
I'd say it's odds on they will, but we'll see.
Yeah, you never know. Could be an England-New Zealand final. Celtic are playing tomorrow. Hopefully a win for us. Yeah,
so you're a Celtic fan, Scottish Ball, a good man.
Good man. Bobby Moore died of cancer on the 24th of February, 1993, age 51.
He's dead 30 years. 81 now. Yeah.
I'm definitely no Rangers fan. We're glad to hear that. I'm a Celtic fan through and through. Season tickets since 07.
Good stuff.
Column.
Can I just say something? The atmosphere of those Celtic home games. Yeah. The atmosphere of those Celtic home games is just something else. I wish you could bottle it. It really is brilliant.
It is. Steve D says, Peter M. Harry Kane has 20 plus penalties, overall 30. So goals against no bodies. Yes, he's one of our own, but let's not muddy the waters when it comes to the likes of Greaves, Charlton.
Yeah.
That's a very good point.
Good point, because Greaves and Charlton scored those goals on crap pitches.
Yeah.
You know, with heavy ball and clodhopper boots, you know. So, no, in fact, the goals they scored back in the 60s and 70s would mean a lot more than the ones that are scored today, in my opinion.
Yeah. Peter M says, to true. Steve D says, Højbjerg would go into my room 101. We used to demand more of a Spurs midfield than good work ethic.
Yeah.
That's true.
A room 101, I've forgotten what that means. That's things you like to have in your life in a room 101.
Højbjerg has a future at Spurs as a super sub defensive midfielder who can boast. That I agree with.
Yeah, that's true.
He's done this job. And Peter he's having a go at us, Philip, and he's rightly to have a go at us. He is very right to have a go at me and you. Well, probably
no,
not.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, I mean, it's a bad day for England sport if you lose to cricket in the cricket and rugby to the same team, you know?
Yeah, but Philip, they've gone further than us in the World Cup in rugby.
Oh, I know, absolutely.
And we're the world number one side.
You know, they absolutely have got to give them credit for that, you know?
Yeah. Now, Mr. Brady, what are we on next? We're on later, aren't we?
So we're on 5 to 8 for the rugby.
Yeah.
England versus South Africa. It's going to be a good game, I think. But I think it'll be more competitive than last night's game. Last night's game was good, but Argentina never really got laid a glove on New Zealand. They're just too good.
Yeah. And then we do have the vote in, Philip. I asked the question, would you like myself and Philip to do a weekly politics podcast show? Now, only 8 votes, but 62% said yes, 37% say no. So what I'll do is I'll run that again.
We'll keep that going for a while, yeah.
Yeah, we'll run that again in the other show. And then, Philip, we're looking to do Formula One tomorrow night as well, aren't we, for the United States Grand Prix? So that will be broadcast here on this channel, on the Full-Time Sports Network, on our F1 channel as well. So we will be doing that. And then Monday, also follow RMRGA. Also, do you want to read that one out, Philip? Sorry.
Also follow RMRGA and also the boys, that's the Bohemians, the League of Ireland. Mind you, you got beat 2-0 last night by St. Pat.
We'll take them as our Irish team for the cup final, Philip. There you go. It's my job to be harsh on England, says Colin.
Oh, no, I'm afraid I have to go for St. Pat's. I'm afraid you go for Bows. I have to go for St. Pat's because a mate of mine is involved with the club.
We'll have a good banter that day, actually, Philip. That'd be a good one. David Clark, haven't seen you for a long time, sir. Where have you been hiding in Leicester? It says, a busy man, but just popped on to say, Spurs ladies, top of the week. Yeah, we're top of the league. We're top of the league everywhere. Well, we were top of the league in the Premier League, but we will be Monday night. Worst England team in years, still managed to get to a semi-final. That's success in my eyes, to be honest. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think...
Didn't think they get this far.
I didn't think they got that far. And if they beat South Africa tonight, which South Africa are beatable, Philip. We beat South Africa.
Yeah, any team's beatable, yeah.
I think they'll have a hell of a job against the mighty New Zealand, though. They were sensational last night.
They were good.
They really were. But Philip, that's the end of the Cockeral podcast. I'm going to have to read you a new thumbnail and a new intro of a new title of the show because it really isn't really what it says on the tin. So we'll have to redo that very quickly and change it. We're back later for the rugby, and then of course with Formula One, and then of course we're back Monday with Newsbeat, build up to the Fulham game, and then at 7:30 we're back on with a watch along for Tottenham Fulham, and then we're into another busy week of Spurs again, aren't we, Philip? So So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Let us know if you'd like us to keep this going every Saturday, this podcast. Maybe we found a home for it, Philip, at last.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. We just keep an eye on that. Just to run down the soccer scores just before we finish. Anybody that might be interested. It's Bournemouth 1, Wolves 1. Wolves have equalised. Brentford 1, Burnley 0. Manchester City still 2-0 up on Brighton. Palace are losing 3-0 to Newcastle, and Nottingham Forest still 1-0 up on Luton.
Scott Spoiler says, unfortunately won't be there for the F1, going to Glasgow Warriors game tomorrow night. Well, look, watch it in the feedback and let us know. Peter M says, the rugby team has done England proud, unlike the cricket team, which has been dreadful. Yeah, and Peter M says, thanks for a great show, Philip and Dermot. Well, thank you. And thank you for all your comments. And please hit that like button on the way out. We already got 11 likes. Come on, we can do better than that. And also, again, for the subject we started, if we offended anyone with our, because this will be going up on Spotify, if we offended anyone with our comments or with any subjects we talked about in this podcast early on, me and Philip both apologize. It was never our intention to upset or offend anyone, but it was just our views and the views that we wanted to bring to a situation that has now become 20 times worse than what it should have been. But look, everyone, peace to everyone. Love your family. Love everyone. We only live on one world. Let's try to live and love one another. We're back at 7:30 tonight with the rugby watch along. Wherever you do, take care. And thank you for listening and watching the Cockeral podcast with me, Dermot, and Philip, aka Dermatron,
See you later,
and
lads.
aka the Irish Tom Jones. Hang on, I've got to find the outro. Oh yeah, I've got a new one, Philip.
All right.
This will be our new go intro when we do the watch alongs. All right, I'm sorry, I got the.
Desculpa, mas já confio. Tudo bem. Vamos passe longa. Bola longa, Lima. Ajeitou, não saiu. De quem matou aqui na defesa do meio? É gol! É gol! É gol! É gol, Pretinha! É gol do finalzinho, Pretinha! Finalzinho, Pretinha! É! Olha lá! É, Pretinha! Foi de quem?
There you go. We reckon to
It's
that.
really good.
We
Yeah.
reckon to that one.
There's no trained dog, that.
We are going to end off with our new Formula One intro. It will be the outro for this podcast. So enjoy it. Let me know what you think in the comments. Please leave your comments. What shows you want us to do in future, politics-wise. If you want us to do a politics podcast, if you want to meet me, let us know in the comments. Please hit the like button. Please hit the subscription button. Pick up your memberships. Do all stuff. We do appreciate it. We'll see you later at 7. Come on, you Spurs. In Big Andrew we trust. We never stop. Phillips just hit the damn button, Dermot.